my name is Nikki O'Keeffe, and I'm an ATD internal facilitator. And one of the programs that I teach on is Articulate Storyline. And I want to share some inspiration of how you can maybe bring some life to your courses. This is also great for another content area I instruct on, which is e-learning instructional design. And this is about personalizing the experience for our learners. We know that engagement doesn't necessarily need to go down when we're in that asynchronous space, but how can we make sure that we're keeping those touch points all throughout the courses to make sure that the learners are with us? And one way in which I think we can do this is by using their name. Think about the live classroom, how nice it is to be called on by name. And in the asynchronous space, we can also leverage this technique. So let's look at a few examples of how we can infuse someone's name throughout a course, and then I can show you how it's done in Storyline. So our first example that we're going to take a peek at is one for an ATD internal sales training. And this is where we ask right from the start, what's your name? We're happy you're here. Please remind us of your name. And when the learner goes ahead and adds their name, they click the button, it actually then is used all throughout the course. So whether it's a question or whether it's an introduction to a scenario, and it just adds this element of like, hey, yeah, you're speaking to me rather than just anyone. And it's very simple to do. So we also see this utilized here just on another screen just to give you an example of what this could look like. So I've entered my name right at the start and it is carried all throughout whatever elements or slides you want to see that on. But how is this done? Well, this is done by way of variable. And you may be familiar with variables, but maybe you just haven't thought to use a variable in this way, to use a learner's name. So I'm opening up Articulate Storyline. I do have 360 if you're following along with me. I'd say go ahead and open up your program as well so that you can give it a try. And I'm just keeping this very basic, very kind of bare bones here, starting with this blank slide. And what I've done is just added a character and a caption box to give you an idea of what this would look like. So when we have our caption box, two things that we need to have in order for text in a variable to appear is a text box as well as a variable. So let's go ahead and think about how we're going to have this variable added here to this slide. Now, a variable is something that Storyline stores as information to be used at any point throughout the course. So it is actually found via the Insert tab. And then you make your way to reference. It's a little bit tricky to find. It's a little tiny. So insert and then make your way to reference and go ahead and hit that button. And I'm going to clear that out just to start from fresh here. So we have no variables right now in the program or no references to any information in this course. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus button. Okay, plus. And I'm going to call my variable name. Now you can call it whatever you'd like, just to make sure there's no spaces and no special characters. And it is a text variable, and click OK. So now we have this placeholder, which is going to be our learner's name. So I can click OK. So that's happening here behind the scenes. We do also see Storyline speak of %name %, which just tells us that this placeholder is there for the learner's name. Now, if you ever need to go back and find it, you can go back to that same area of reference, or if you want to manage all your project variables, remember that's located here in the tiny box of the trigger panel. So it already automatically added name for us, and now we could just continue to add any text that we want to come after that. So it would be hard to start the course though with their name if we haven't asked them for it yet, right? They need to actually input information so that we can collect it and store it. So we would first want to ask them, what is your name? And in order to collect this information, we would need some sort of holder. So this is where a text entry box is going to be important. So we're going to add that now. Insert. And it's not a text box, it's actually an interactive object. So we're going to head to Input, and from the drop down, we'll go past checkboxes and radio buttons and head to Data Entry. And you'll notice that there's one for letters and there's one for numbers. So because it's a name, we will go with the letters. So I'm just making a box here again. Doesn't need to be perfect, just by way of demo. So this is where we could then maybe just make it even more clear what is your name, and they would enter your name or their name in the box. Okay, so now that information is going to be held and collected, and it is now at a place where we could then work to display it once this course is actually published and confirmed. But how are we going to display it? Well, we need to have that placeholder. So we need the text box, which I've already started to add some text. I was thinking we could say something like, Nikki, let me make sure I'm phrasing this correctly. Nikki, what do you think about this product, for example? So I can clear out those little dots here and head to the Manage Project Variable area. And here is where I have the name variable and the text entry, which is what we just added. But I'm going to want to infuse their name into this one. I'll go ahead and hit that, and we'll see it populate with the storyline speak, or at least that's my hope. Let's try it this way. Insert reference, name, and it's plugged in the name right there. Beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and I like to test and test often, and we'll go ahead and just preview this slide. See if this is operating anything like I'm thinking it may, or if we need to go back and maybe tweak some things. Remember, this doesn't have to just be a name. Whatever word or phrase you maybe want continued throughout a course could be done in a similar fashion. Okay, so we want to collect the name first. And oh, yeah, I was predicting that there may be an issue here. So where I went wrong is I need to go back and correct how I added this variable. So I think I jumped a little bit too soon because I got excited and I wanted to show you how we add variables. So I'm going to go back and manage my project variables and just clear out this name. Because what I can do, and this is a great thing to show you as well, is just rename this variable, because once they enter into that text box their name, this is actually going to become that variable that we want to use. So once they enter it, they're typing it in the text. We're going to call it name, and then we'll go back and just give this a little tweak so I can clear that out. Again, insert reference, and there's our one variable. Hit OK. And now let's give this a whirl. This is a great way to just troubleshoot using preview. What's your name? Nikki, and bravo. There we go. So of course you could continue on creating more slides depending on how many times you want to use the name, but just remember you could either click on the Manage Project Variables to make any changes, or it's that insert reference once it's actually created. And that's exactly what I did to create these examples that I showed you a little bit earlier. Okay, so have fun with it, and get your learners' interest piqued by having their name flash across the screen a couple times. Thanks everyone. I hope that tip was helpful, and have fun creating your courses. Take care.